Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be reinstalling a fuel pump into this 2011 BMW F800 GS. So the complaint that the customer is having is the bike is able to crank. So you turn the bike on, crank it all day long, no start. So picked it up from the customer, and the first thing I did is I sprayed a little bit of starting fluid in the intake, and it was able to fire. So basically that tells me that the bike is not getting fuel, so there's no pressure to the injectors or anything. So what I did is just pop the seat, took this little rubber pad thing here off, unplug these two things. One's for the fuel pump right there. The other one's for the fuel pump electronics right there. And go ahead and unplug those. And I think our fuel pump here is suspect. So we got a brand new fuel pump right here from BMW partsguy.com. I'll have these parts linked below in the description. I also got a new fuel pump gasket. So every time you take out the fuel pump, you're going to want to replace the fuel pump gasket. So if your bike is having a similar issue, crank it all day long, won't start, a good way to rectify that issue or kind of figure out what's going on is to use just starting fluid, spray it down the intake, and that's going to tell you if it still doesn't run on starting fluid down the intake, then it's going to be an ignition issue. So that's basically you are giving it fuel and it's unable to ignite that fuel because it's not getting spark or some other issue. But in this case, the bike is getting spark because it ran on starting fluid. So willing to bet this is the issue. The first thing we're going to do is undo this clamp here. So the clamp here is it crimps on, and what I like to use is just a real high quality side cutter, and you can kind of put the side cutter right on the clamp there. So we got our fuel pump hose disconnected, and as you can see, I did end up breaking this barb off. So the reason that happened is just because the plastic here is just super brittle. It basically just crumbled. But the next thing we're going to do is there's a zip tie right here and then two zip ties here and here. Just get our harness up and out of the way. And then if you don't have the special tool that goes over the top of this, it's a big socket that engages into all these pegs. I'm assuming 90% of my viewers, if not more, do not have that tool. So the way to do it without the tool is with just a channel lock like this. You're just going to grab on to two of these. Don't even have to squeeze hard, and it's super easy. So just minimal effort. I'm barely trying there. Comes right out. So then that'll just thread off by hand. Like that. Then we can go ahead and just get a flathead screwdriver underneath our pump. Just kind of gradually work your way around. Just kind of slowly prying upward. And this whole fuel pump should come right out. Also, another prerequisite that I forgot to mention is make sure your gas tank is low, because if you have fuel in your gas tank, well, the second you take this pump out, it's gonna pretty much end up on the floor. So, take your fuel pump out there, kind of drain this fuel back into the tank, and then set this aside. Next thing we're going to do is take a brand new fuel pump gasket. We are going to just kind of slip it in here, and it should seat down all nice all around this flange here. And there's a lip that goes above and below, so once you have it all in, you should be able to feel around and see if there's any spots that aren't quite in yet. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of grease and just kind of smear it on the inside of this seal here, just to help the fuel pump slip right over that. because you don't want the fuel pump to roll this seal as you install it, because most of the time when you're riding, the fuel level is going to be above this fuel pump. So these are kind of known to leak. And then with a little bit of grease kind of smeared around here, we're going to then align this notch right here up with in the plastic. There's a little notch right there in the plastic. So the fuel pump's going to go down in a certain orientation. Just feed everything down in there. There's no plugs or wires or anything to worry about. Make sure the seal doesn't roll as we install this. It should just slip straight down. Just like that. We will then reinstall our fuel pump retaining ring here. And we're going to do that the same way we took it off. And like we talked about earlier, it doesn't need to be super tight, but it does need to be put on there. So I would just, using kind of your hand and the wrench here, just get it on as tight as you can. We'll then reinstall this cover. So what you're gonna have to do, you have to remember that this hose here goes through the cover there. So we're gonna put it through this little piece that sticks up. Got a new hose clamp on there, but this time instead of the crimp type, I'm just using the other style that's way easier. And then this is gonna then get slipped over this plastic fitting. Be very careful not to break this off now, because then you'll have to buy a new fuel pump. So we're gonna slip that over there. We got our clamp down here that I'm gonna get installed. That's on. And then we are going to flip it around, get it all rearranged around this ring. Just like that. Plug right there. Goes in there. This plug goes in there. Put our two zip ties on. Put our other zip tie on right here. Reinstall the seat and fill it back up with fuel. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If this video helped you out in any way, please consider joining my channel. If not, please subscribe if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to like and comment. Thank you very much. Have a safe ride. Now as a bonus, let's see if she runs. Everything's swept. No check engine lights. Oh yeah, fired right up.